Shalom, shalom, giving all praises, honor and the glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Waha Rechaha Kudash, honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone, like-minded elders in Israel that teach well, by whom I learn this truth, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Shalom wa Barakim, to the hope for the elect house of David. A citation to you, Akim, that are laboring, ministering week in, week out, making your bodies a living sacrifice unto Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, in all truth and sincerity, right? Just the brother Daniela, and this is just a quick news update on the rolling blackouts over here in Europe, right? That we've been seeing happening from yesterday, right? So I just wanted to bring out this article. Lord willing, it's edifying, exhorting and comforting in some way, shape or form. So this is from the Telegraph newspaper, right? And it says, the scramble to uncover what caused Europe's biggest power outage. Salakia. It says tens of millions of households remain in the dark as questions mount over what caused the outrage. And that's a double entendre they did right there. Right, because you actually had millions of people without power, right, and they're in the dark about why it happened still. So they still haven't been given, a reason or probable cause to why these blackouts have been happening, right? It says tens of millions of households remain in the dark as questions mount over what caused the outage, right? It says what exactly caused the massive power cuts that swept Spain, Portugal and parts of southern France. That is the question on the lips of every energy expert in Europe, and the theories abound. Spanish authorities suggested they were investigating the possibility of a cyber attack on grid infrastructure, while some officials in Portugal initially said it was caused by a freak weather phenomenon before backtracking, both saying the exact cause was still unknown. It says, at the same time, others have warned Spain's growing reliance on renewable energy, particularly solar power, may also have contributed to the crisis. So they're all over the place about, the reasons why these power outages might have happened. So and it almost seems like they're all blaming each other, which is funny, right? But nonetheless, whether it was a cyber attack or whether it was, or whether it was, Spain's fault, right? Or whether it was, what did it say? Because Spain are saying it might have been a cyber attack, then you got the Portuguese talking about it might have been caused by freak weather, right? And then you got Portugal talking about it might have been Spain's growing reliance on renewable energy, mainly solar power, that might have contributed to the crisis. So they're all over the place about this again, but ultimately this is all biblical prophecy being played out by the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? And it reminds me of Wisdom of Solomon. I believe it might be like the fourth or sixth or seventh chapter, if I'm not mistaken, where it speaks about the darkness in Egypt. That's what it reminded me of straight away. And these ain't the first blackouts that we've seen, right? We've been seeing a lot of blackouts, a lot of rolling blackouts over the last 4, 5, 6 years. Even some of the Akim over there in where is it? In Carolina, they experienced some blackouts themselves. Some of the brothers over there in New York as well, I believe. Right, so these are things that are common occurrence throughout the world right now, man. These blackouts, and guess what? We're going to continue to see more. We're going to continue to see more, whether they are cyber attacks or the government playing games, right, to rile up the people, test the waters, as it were. Nonetheless, man, these things are going to continue to increase, right, and the people are going to continue to be in an uproar about it, man. Right, and I just literally finished a lesson about the harsh realities that a lot of these people are getting ready to face, whether they like it or not. Right, reality is going to be shoved down their throats, And this is part of that playing out, because the majority of these people probably wasn't expecting for their lights or power to go out, right? But nonetheless, it has, right? And again, this is all by the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, whether he is using these world governments to do so, man, right? And it's beautiful. It's beautiful because, you know, even over here in the UK, which is really, you know, in Europe, you know, there's rumors, right, going, or, you know, out on TikTok, which I've been going out for a minute now, talking about, you know, blackouts are expected in the middle of May, right over here, which, you know, is not far-fetched. Is not far-fetched, and, you know, I won't be surprised if that does come to pass, right? Give these people a taste of reality and what's to come out here, man, right? It says, let me go back up a bit. It says, with details such thin on the ground, much of this remains speculation, with authorities still scrambling to figure out what went wrong. But one thing is for certain, the outage on Monday was of nightmare proportions. For grid operators, it was so severe that it took out the national networks of Spain, Portugal, knocking out power for tens of millions of households, and will require a complicated procedure which could take days to put right. So they're still without power over there right now, man. They're in darkness. You know, that's why I said it reminded me of the darkness in Egypt. 3 days, man. Right? Those heathens, right? Those Hamites were in darkness. Right? It says they need to get the grid up and running again urgently, right? Because major grid outages are really dangerous things, says Michael Liebreach, an energy consultant. Of course they are, because the power affects so many things, man, right? Livelihood, jobs, right? Your food, eating, drinking, everything you can really think of, right? And these people are so used to these creature comforts, you know, their technology, TVs, even just having lights in the house. People are so used to having these things that when they're not around anymore, people lose their minds, man. So you could imagine right now over there in Spain, right, where there's a lot of Edomites in Spain. There's also Jakes too in Spain. France, Portugal, a lot of Edomites in these places. Again, a lot of Jakes in these places, but you can imagine these people are going crazy right now over there without their creature comforts, without power. Not even just creature comforts, but power in general, you know. Hey, they better be hoping they got flashlights and candles, man. And this is why I'll say to, you know, this, I was meditating on this too before I even, you know, decided to put this lesson together, just speaking about the realities and thinking about the realities that a lot of people are getting ready to face in general, right? And it's a good idea, Akion, for, you know, to be stocked up on things like candles and torches, man, if you can, you know. These are just, you know, mean things that we might deem menial right now while we still got power, right? But when these blackouts do happen in a city or a town near us, which they will, you know, eventually at some point in time, and when they lock down the whole grid, right, they will be good to have, you know, access to torches, candles, and whatnot, man. You know, so you got some kind of light, you know. But nonetheless, more than anything, you want to seek your Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. More than anything. Let me just finish the rest of this up. So it says the outage on Monday was of nightmare proportions, right? It says they need to get the grid up and running again urgently because major grid outages are really dangerous. It says the outages knocked out traffic lights, wow, right? Electric powered trains and mobile phone networks, with hospitals and other emergency service forced to switch over to emergency generators. See, this is why I say so many things get, you know, affected by the power outages, man. Right? There weren't no more traffic lights, so that means that, or street lights for that matter. So that means that the you know, the traffic on the roads must have been chaotic, must have been crazy, right? Because the traffic lights are on a certain system, you know, that work in tandem. You know, the red light stop, brothers, people know, right? So that was all out of whack, right? So people had to discern and make their own decisions when driving, which is definitely a dangerous thing, man. You know, it's definitely a dangerous thing, right? You seen what the roads are like over there in Delhi, places like that, right? But the difference is they're used to it, right? But it says The outages knocked out traffic lights, electric-powered trains, and mobile phone networks, and that's the one that's going to hurt a lot of these people the most, right? And it sounds crazy to say, but this is how dependent people are on their mobile phones, right? That's the device that's chained to these people out here, their mobile phones, man. So when they lose that alone, look at when TikTok was down. Was it beginning of the year, end of last year? The people went crazy, and that's just one platform, right? Full of bullshit, but that was just one platform went down. People went crazy. People lost their damn minds. So how much more when you can't use your mobile phone at all, right? When the whole mobile network system's down, man, right? And that's why I say, man, everyone is going to be tested. Everyone's true colors are going to be revealed in these last days. And it takes little things like, I say little things, it takes the Heavenly Father to bring judgments down like this to reveal people's true personalities, man, their true characters. And all you people out here gonna be tested, man, right? He says such outages are extremely rare in developed countries and are difficult to recover from. Yeah, because they're not used to it, man. They're so used over here in the UK, over there in Babylon, right? We're so used to having power, right? A click of a switch, right? Press of a button, right? Then, you know, some people, they got like generators, backup generators and things like that, right? We're not used to, point is, we're not used to that over here in the Western world, man, right? It says, and are difficult to recover from due to the need for supply and demand on electric network to be finely balanced. Yeah, because guess what? Now all the systems have got to be restarted, rebooted, as it were. You know, which can also be a hindrance. That could be a hindrance, man. You know, that could be a major hindrance when you got to now reboot the system, basically start from scratch, right? Now you got to upload or download your apps again, or whatever it was you had on your mobile device, or you know, a restart, reboot, or restart the fridge, or whatever have you, man, right? There's a lot of things that go into the power grid going down, and it's different to where, you know, it might happen in a third world country, which, you know, these countries are turning into third world countries. You look at certain places in France, Babylon, right, over here in the UK, the shit look like a third world country. But the point I'm making is that in those countries, they're more used to not having these levels of power, right? So they're more used to these things. So for us over here, man, it's a bit more of a hindrance on our day-to-day life. Well, I say a bit more, it's a big hindrance, because people are so used to power over here, right? It says in Spain and Portugal's case, grid operators will now have to carefully restore power across the country in a chirograph fashion. Simon Gallagher, managing director of the energy consultancy UK network service, says teams will likely split the national grid into sections and start up power stations locally before stitching the network back together in stages. Right? So this ain't going to be a quick fix, man. So it will probably take up to a week or more. He says it's catastrophically bad, and I think people will start to realize that over the next few days. Yeah, reality is going to set in, man. Reality is going to set in. The cold, harsh reality, man. And it's so spiritual, because like I said, I literally just finished the lesson going into that, man. The harsh realities that you people are getting ready to face out here. Right. It says, I think people will start to realize that over the next few days. That is the priority for now. But experts say that the nature of the power outage is concerning for a number of reasons, with no clear information yet provided about the cause. So the people are still not even getting a reason why these things are happening. You know, they and ahhing about it might be this, it might be that. So guess what? That's also going to be stressing out the people, because when people don't feel like a sense of having control, they bug out, man. When they're not given answers to the questions they ask, they bug out, and they ain't getting the answers they want right now. You know. Now I'm not going to read all of this, but that's the point, man. Just a quick news update on the rolling blackouts over here in Europe, man. Right, and it's looking like it ain't gonna be back together for the next week or so. You know, so you know, over here in the UK, like I know, I was just saying to some family members, you know, it's because they talking about that we might have the same thing over here in May, right? Get ready, man. Get ready, because these things may well happen again, man. You know, seek Yahweh, Shem Yahweh first and foremost. The brothers, sincere brothers, sisters, man, true believers, man. Stay prayed up, and invest in some you know, battery operated or solar operated torches, candles, you know. But again, most of all, man, seek Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. Stay prayed up, man. So with that, you know, as always, giving all praises, honor, and infinite glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Waha, Rachaha Kodash, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, and Shalom Barakim to the hopeful elect. Shalom.